we? Who are we?
Who are we? I don't even know anymore, man.
We don't exist
even know.
in this time and space. This cat hair on this mic that you can or cannot see depending on which media
Got some over here
you're
too.
watching us through. There's a lot. His
I got
from different
I
places.
got cat hair all over my pants too. Like a week ago, when was it? We went to sushi. It was like last week.
It was last week.
Last week, we went to sushi, and it's hot. You know, we're in Texas. It's hot. It's already getting like 100 degrees again, so that's fun. But the only shorts I've had for the longest time have been like cargo shorts. I'm not a big cargo short kind of guy anymore.
You ever own a Zelda t-shirt?
I don't think, you
never had the green Zelda
No, I
shirt?
never did.
Oh, damn.
I never did.
I've got a good friend who does.
That could have been him. I'm not a big cargo short kind of guy. My tastes have changed over the years, right? And so I had enough of it. After I wore those cargo shorts that day, I said, enough is enough.
Damn.
Actually, my girlfriend said, oh, you don't like them? Let's get you something else. So I went shopping, clothes shopping. I usually do clothes shopping online. I know. I went outside, did some clothes shopping. Got 2 shorts. That was only like $20 a piece. Pretty cheap. They're on sale.
That's really cheap, actually.
And they're pretty nice. One of them is black. That's the one I'm wearing now, and it is covered in cat hair. So,
are you aware of the social stigma that cargo shorts bring?
No.
You're not.
No.
Really?
I just don't like the look of them personally. My own taste.
So there's just a large amount of people that I've seen. Typically, people really either into fashion or very normies that will shit on people for even looking at cargo shorts as an option to wear.
It holds more stuff.
Yeah.
It's cargo. It's what it's for.
Yeah. It's
I can see if you're going to conventions, they could be handy. A lot of pockets.
I mean, I like them. I just stopped wearing because I genuinely have had people just like, look. Yeah. I should wear what I want to and do what I want to, but
that's like growing up. It took me a while before I moved over to boxers and stuff. I had tidy whities for a while. And same thing. A lot of people made fun of like
can't wear boxers, man.
I had them in what was it? Like gym class. Mm-mm. And people made fun of me there. I was like, I didn't even know
tidy whities.
I didn't know there was another option at that point.
It's true.
As a kid.
My parents actually forced me to change from them when I was still young. I was like 10 or 11. They were just like, you need to wear like adult underwear. And I don't want to. They're comfortable. Then I wore briefs for a while.
Briefs, yeah.
Because I don't like wearing boxers. Like it feels like I'm not wearing something. Like I don't like
weird.
that.
Yeah, I'm not a big box guy. I don't like free ball in it.
Exactly. So I like returned to form. Just make it not white. White underwear. Like who? What?
That's true. Yeah, colored.
Who?
Yeah.
Well, I do the colors, just white specifically. You gotta be
white specifically.
You gotta be brave.
What gray?
Gray's good.
Gray's all right.
Gray's good. Gray's fine. Also, gray tip. This is the final one before we flip stuff around. Surprisingly, I am on ADHD meds. You probably couldn't tell during this. We'll talk about that in a bit. And give you guys a little update. We had a video going on. I kind of jumped into
watched it.
If your shirts are showing through your dress shirts, typically like a white one for work, and you're wearing a white tank top underneath, to hide, you either got a lot of chest hair, or maybe you really pointing all the time. I don't know. Gray shows up much less
than white. I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Even more than just like an actually nude colored one.
What if you're wearing like black? I guess might be too obvious, probably. Yeah.
If we're wearing black ones, it's gray in particular. So I found that out at one point. It does work. But he's Ryan.
He's Braxton.
It's the Dungeon Crawl, and we've been gone for about 2 weeks.
Thanks for being patient.
It's the longest break we've taken.
That's great. Actually, kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, only 2 weeks. I think people who typically upload once a week kind of fall into that. Where'd they go? What happened? Now they upload once a month. So trying to avoid that. This is still something we really love to do. I was just going through a bunch of interview processes. I think I can mention it now. It's not that big because I would have had to anyways, but I was interviewing with Wizards of the Coast for a specific position that would have been a contract role for about a year. And it's the profession, if those of you that have heard, it's the thing I do already. We'll mention it now just in case there's any other recruiters or people trying to poach off of it. But if I had accepted the position, which I was very, 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 very close to.
Very enticing.
Very close to. I wouldn't have been able to appear on the Dungeon Crawl. So we were up in the air as to whether or not this was something
stuff out,
we'd keep doing, because contractually, if I had signed it, would not have been allowed to release videos. I'm not a spokesperson for WotC. It's how they do it. There's a lot of interesting rules, like I wouldn't be able to go to Magic pre-releases if it's full. I have to be on the wait list so that consumers can experience it.
It makes sense.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. It's nothing I was upset about. They would have let me do the live play, so that wouldn't have stopped.
Which is in the works. Don't worry.
We're literally, we can finally say 100% now. Anytime you've heard up to now, if you've been binging our episodes.
I've been talking about it for a little bit.
We have our like one shot planned for us to test stuff out Tuesday. So theoretically, the second 2 weeks from that will be likely when we start, which is the.
And if not, then 2 weeks from that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It'll be an every other week thing, just like the previous one was. And then Ryan last week had a bit of acid reflux and just couldn't speak.
Hate that, man.
And we kept getting on the Sunday schedule.
So whenever that happens, it destroys my throat. Like, so I used to wake in the middle of the night, like I couldn't breathe. Like, I was dying. Terrible stuff. I used to, so actually one of the reasons why I wanted to learn sign language, not that anyone else knows it, but because it happened one time in high school and I couldn't speak in my classes. So I remember I had like a pad of paper around me. I just wrote everywhere and like said, hey, this is what I'm trying to say.
Damn.
Yeah, not fun.
No, it's that bad.
Yeah, I just have to make sure if I have something that's acidic, I need to take my medication for it, which I didn't. But then the past, I don't know what I had, but something set me over the edge. The last week, I've been feeling it. I haven't been able to sleep in the middle of the night. I've been very
Do you have to pay attention to the position you sleep in?
It's whenever I lay down at night, I can feel like stuff going on inside of me. Yeah, it's not fun. The last 3 days.
Don't lay on your back because you could feel, you know that.
I don't know. The past 3 days, I haven't gotten to sleep past like 5 a.m., 4 a.m. So I've been like tossing. I've been in bed just tossing and turning, and so I've been like 4 hours of sleep every night.
Check.
Hopefully, I'm hoping it'll flip at some point.
I'm glad you feel better and your voice isn't as bad, but we had gotten the episodes like ready on a Friday, and we were like, you know what, I've got this going, that going, maybe on a Saturday, and we got D&D, let's do it on Sunday. And then, you know what happens when you do stuff last minute. It's so easy to just say, you know what, just push it. Because I had a lot of decisions made. I end up going, I guess it's fine to...
Can you talk about it?
I don't know. I can't talk about like products that they're making and stuff like that. That's the wrong noise. That was a good timing. Discord. Are we working for Discord in a few weeks? Full time.
A lot of people use Discord.
I use it 90% of
my
day, and now it'll be 100% of my day. But what I like, before we get into the content of everything, is that the account switching will mean that I'll either be on the monitors that I usually have, and I'll be off. Yeah, I'll have two. So I won't have my Discord open, which was a big thing that would draw my attention. It'll be off, though my phone will have it on, but it'll be a nice like separation. I feel.
Interesting.
The last thing was I finally have ADHD medication. It's a very low dosage. For those of you that are interested in researching these, the thing I'm trying out is Vyvanse. I would recommend it over the others so far, though I have never tried the others. It's been working really well. I generally feel throughout the week higher energy, more focus in a sense, but that means that you'll have the ability to hyper focus on something willingly. And if you really want to do that, whether it's the productive thing or not, it can still be hard to direct it in the right direction. So we'll see.
Can you feel like a click on, like a switch whenever like it starts affecting?
I will take it oftentimes in the morning, say like 10 a.m., go to sleep for another 30 minutes or an hour for it to kick in.
Interesting.
Whereas you could still say, well, Braxton, you just woke up, so of course it's hard to get out of bed. But it's literally like I wasn't feeling the 8 hours of sleep I got, and then in that next 20 to 30 minutes, it just hits me, and it's like
I feel like ready to take on the
nothing
day.
Sucks. I don't feel it's like getting on the right side of the bed every day.
Damn.
In a sense, so it just makes it's like a good nap. You feel more aware versus on the brink of not having any sleep and feeling so sluggish and your attention just doesn't go anywhere. But there we go. That's what's been going on with us to extrapolate on the last thing. Today, what are we doing?
We're going to be talking about the big, exciting 2024 5.5e next edition kind of stuff and what we would like from it. I'm going to tell you right now, the kind of list I have here, I could see them maybe doing one of them here. I don't think they're logistically going to do any of the ones that I would like. Yeah. But you never know. Maybe I'll be surprised.
I agree with you. I think it's not going to be as much of a change as some of us are maybe hoping for. And
especially because they're saying it's going to be backwards compatible.
Yeah. I think that's a big portion of it. And one of my things that I'm wanting is definitely not backwards compatible. It would cause a change in literally the entire system, which means I should go elsewhere to experience it. But we'll get to it when we get to it. It makes sense. They still want it to be D&D, you know?
Sure.
That easy bridge for people to jump into it and still experience it as it was before and not be too worried. And that subject that we talked about way long ago of there's too many resources. We don't know where to start.
Yeah. It's not something that they haven't done before. They did third edition and 3.5e edition. So it's not unheard of for them to add like a little 0.5 to something.
Yeah.
But I mean, Pathfinder loved 3.5e so much they made their own offshoot of basically kind of the same system. So I guess we'll see if hopefully 5.5e is just as good that people want to do it from. I mean, it's really every edition, everyone has their gold, rosy glasses, where people didn't really like 4th edition. At least there was a subset that didn't like 4th edition when it came out and people were playing it. And then people were excited for 5th edition, but now people look back at 4th edition, man, I wish this was here for 4th edition. I wish this was existed here. So, I mean, there's always going to be stuff like that. But I do want to say before we get started on what we want, this is what they've been alluding to, what they've been doing for the past little bit, that they've been changing the way that they write their lore, changing races and monsters and how they fit into their books, removing heights, alignments, physical descriptions, that type of stuff. They've been making things a little more, I don't know, streamlined.
Yeah, that's the word I was going to jump
to. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
But that's kind of the direction that they're heading and the ideas we can get, especially for Monster of the Multiverse. I think it's the biggest thing we can point to kind of get an idea of what's to come.
This isn't a hot takes on what they're doing, but I've seen a lot of mixed stuff on the the Monster Multiverse stuff and online availability and whatnot.
Yeah, I have a little thing we talk about that now if you want.
I mean, I think it's one of the most important things. Is super recent too. I haven't hit the migrate my account to Wizards account button yet on D&D Beyond, but it is there. Yeah. I've used it since then, so I don't know if it just like automatically did it.
I did get a pop-up that said we're now officially in, like the integration happened.
Yeah.
So.
And another good thing to say is I learned literally nothing about the projects that they were doing. So in that case, like don't ask.
So
I didn't learn,
DMs.
Even though I did sign in, it's like literally nothing. The only thing I will say is they're absolutely amazing. Their hiring team is working very hard to make sure that the future of Wizards and D&D and Magic and everything is not what has been going on in the games industry.
It's in good hands.
They're really focusing on the right spots, finding the right people. So cut them some slack. It's a lot of hard work, but also don't cut them some slack because they need the motivation.
True.
That's what I'll say.
But first of all, I guess the big news on that, and I had a section on it later because it fits into my thing, but we'll start here. We'll start with this. So the big news about Monster of the Multiverse is it got added to D&D Beyond.
Yes.
But in the process, they took off Volos and Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes.
Why? Are the monsters they introduced already in there?
Yes. Not all of them, in some of them. And then, none of the lore, for you guys remember our review, none of the lore that was in those books, or if it is in there, is very much truncated. I don't know. I think, I'll start this. This is one of my points from what I would want from 5.5 is utilizing the digital space better. And I think that involves stuff like picking up a physical copy and getting a D&D Beyond version, having small updates here and there, kind of like what we talked about before with like Magic Arena doing small things here and there, Hearthstone. Just because of the nature of digital space, you can update things quicker and add fun little updates here. Stuff like Minsk and Boo. We loved Minsk and Boo.
Oh my God, yeah.
And the thing that they recently added, the Monsters Compendium, something that's like 10 monsters, and it's completely free on D&D Beyond. That's awesome. I'd even be happy if it's $10 to $15 for like these small little updates like Minsk and Boo. 3.5e edition and stuff had that as well. But I think the issue with that is then that can maybe lead to overbloat or something. I don't know. But the nice thing about that though is because 3.5e did it, that was worse for them because that's a lot to print. Those are all physical books. Here it's just digital, just pump it out, have fun. What they need to not do though is do what they just did, because that's a bad usage of the digital space. Removing something that has already existed.
I gotta wonder why too, because both of those books were subject to the errata, weren't they?
Yes, there's a lot of stuff in those errata,
and that's why it's strange to me is why adjust them.
Why release
and have the physical book out there and then remove it? Is it because they are still changing it and they don't feel like having it in the space?
It doesn't even make sense as a monetary thing because you're selling 3 books now. You could say, hey, if you want a little extra lore from the monsters you like in Monster of the Multiverse, here you go. Pick up Volos. You like the Beholders? Pick up this one. I don't understand it.
Kenneth told me about this. I was really trying to understand why and what the decision was. And he didn't realize I mentioned to him when he said people can still get it physically in the real world. I'm like, well, they errated it, and it's out there in a lot of forms. They can't just pull it. So there's that.
True.
So I don't know. It's something they touched recently, and removing it doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Because even with that argument, like the physical ones are not eroded, but the D&D Beyond, I haven't done the due diligence check, but I'm sure it's probably eroded on the D&D Beyond website. So that's the only place where the errata even existed for everybody to see. So I don't understand. But now you have the books out there that have some questionable content in there.
What happens if you bought it? Is it just gone?
No, it's we still have it. You can still go access it. It's called legacy content now, but you cannot go purchase it anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. That was my biggest gripe, and I wasn't
so at least
sure
if you own it, you can still use it. My issue with this is because, like I said, this bad usage of the digital space, and this only encourages piracy.
Yeah.
It only encourages people to be like, you know what? I really want to read Volos. I didn't buy it on D&D Beyond when I wanted to. I don't want to find the physical copy. Fuck it. I'm just going to find a way to get it online.
Something you touched on in the same vein is I don't want them to just offer the digital copy for free with the book at the same price. Say the book online is $20, maybe like a 50% discount. You can buy a bundle, and inside there's a little thing or room. I don't know, but then that would cost printing, and there's certain books and volumes that people won't buy. So logistically, there's a tough decision to make there, but I would love still some way, shape, or form of that to happen. They haven't done it as much with Magic the Gathering yet. Again, I would love a ton if they just had, you own this card both in the game and in real life if you get it. But then they would have to open up a ton of shit. And,
that would be tough.
I don't know. So it's the same thing. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I would prefer to build up my library again. And the only way I would do that is if I get a digital copy as well.
Yeah, I guess the problem with Magic is you could then buy a card and then still sell the physical card, but you can keep the digital card. And I guess they don't want that problem.
And resale value, there would be a whole market of this one has the code and it works confirmed, and there's no way to check it. So it's a sticky thing, but the digital space is going to be tough to navigate. I don't want it to turn into a live service thing where they are adding stuff every month or every week or in seasons and stuff. I think that's where they're heading because they're proven to be successful, but that leads to even more burnout and crunch. And I don't want that.
Yeah, I could see if they had a team that, like the team that did Minsk, I know they do their own stuff. It's their own separate company, but if they like hired a group like that was passionate about a certain setting or a certain thing, and then they could just publish almost like not newsletters, but like the old back in the day that Zines, the things you could just subscribe to and get in the mailbox. Yeah. And instead of Zines, you could have like MCDM, Matt Colville. They have Arcadia, and every month you get this little like 40-page magazine thing that has incredible content. And they can do stuff like that on D&D Beyond. I don't think you probably don't have, maybe do it for free or you pay $10. I don't know.
Here's the thing to talk about. There's a lot of demonizing around hiring people as contractors, In this space, it makes more sense. And even when I was getting hired, because there are lulls in certain products and seasons. And in the case of doing something like Kamigawa or the new book that they're releasing, that's a lot of different cultures, people of color as well, is they aren't releasing books of all cultures year round. Right. So hiring an artist or a writer that is focused in that full time on the team can be tough because there's going to be times when they aren't releasing it. So hiring it as a contractor for a set amount of time, in a sense, respects both parties. But what I would want is them to do stuff like Kyoto Animation does. They have a whole school for people to join in and stay on the animation team. This is an animation studio, rather than hiring freelancers per project. It can be dangerous, as we've seen with the games industry, people staying in a seat for a long time and not getting kicked out because they've been there for X amount of years. But it also presents the opportunity to have people grow and learn and become a Wizards writer, and brings back this is a Wizards product.
Yeah, it can bring back the passion because you're a part of the group, you're part of the team.
And there's still a ton of passion too, man. When you get contacted by Wizards, they're super friendly, the recruiting team, and everybody's very excited that I spoke to about it. So there is no lack of passion there, from what I can talk about and what I've seen. But I really love being a part of something. So having artists, a cultural team for them that exists there is just something I like. They do, I imagine, keep track of people they like working with in the past and reach out to them again.
Reach back out.
So maybe it's not as big of a thing having somebody free time or full time there. They still have people they tend to like working with.
Like if you're like an athlete or something, you're a part of a certain team, and then that team loans you out to a different team, and you don't have you're there for a temporary amount of time. Of course, you still have the past. You still care about the team you're with, but at the end of the day, you're going to be going back to that team at some point. So
that's something that I really want, but I don't think that's more of a 5.5e thing. That's just in general how I prefer. But it's not how stuff works all the time. Digital space stuff, it's a hard topic to navigate, but that's my biggest hope.
So something else I want at the very least, and I'll tell you when we get to the one that I think they could actually do.
Okay.
This I don't think they'll do either. I kind of 2 in 1 here. So the first thing is I want more setting books. I think this would give DMs, me as a DM, more options and things to pull from when creating my own world. But also I want the setting books to be more in depth. So that way there's less that I have to do if I want to implement into my game. Because the problem with a lot of the setting books we have now, if you could even call Ravenloft a setting book, it's basically just like a...
How-to.
Yeah, it's like it gives you a lot of things, and you have to take those things and figure out how to compile it together.
Yeah.
I think like you could have the 5.5e player's handbook fairly bare bones with like race and monsters, maybe even ancestry if they want to go the Pathfinder route. And then the setting books could take those bare bones things and then have like little tweaks, kind of like Pokemon does, where it has the basic thing, but then each setting kind of has their own spin on it. And that way, I feel like it's less exciting stuff as people because we have more content, but in reality it's less because it's the same. It's just reskins basically. But it's still, I would like the idea because they're getting away from the physical descriptions. I can't remember what they said. They said something like how we wanted it to be less Forgotten Realms specific, like because like the orcs in the Forgotten Realms were this and that, and so they want to make it more inclusive for every setting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'd like the setting books to then take those bare bones races, bare bones monsters, and then put their own spin on it. I don't know if they would ever think about doing that, but I'd love more setting books. Just period.
Setting books are great. And there's one thing about not doing the dungeon crawl that I was almost free from is spoiling myself of shit.
Reviewing
and he
stuff.
says he hasn't used
I have
much bits and chunks. I don't know if it's because I've read them for the most part.
I get a little inspired, but yeah, I don't usually.
If our production gets like a little bit ahead of time when we do like reviews and shit, and you do like a first look and you're like, okay, there are sections I don't want you to see. I wouldn't mind that. Wouldn't mind that. So we'll see. But that means you'd have to look at it a bit first. I agree with you entirely there. I appreciate the tools to create my own settings, but I also love artists, writers, and people who create their own things because it's stuff that I can't do. I have fun trying to come up with my own worlds, but it's a lot more enjoyable to have something that's written by a professional for me. Yeah. From time to time, or most of the time.
Like I'd say Fizzban is a good example of this because the guy that made it loves Dragonlance, loves dragons, loves all that stuff, and that felt like a pretty consistent book, knowing what it was going to go into. All the lore of the dragons was very helpful, pretty.
I loved reading
intensive. But let's see. So let's see if you agree with me there. Let's see if you continue to agree with me.
Okay.
I think so. Not only more setting books, and you're seeing a trend here. I just want more books, I guess. Period. But I would like a return to settings because we get books we get Strixhaven.
We are getting that.
Do we?
Returning to settings. Yeah, they're already doing that with the 2 ones that are coming out.
Which ones are those?
The Dragonlance.
Oh, well, okay. So I mean, return to settings is in. So we get Strixhaven, we get Ravenloft, and then have another book that continues, adds more stuff to those.
I do agree, but you know why they haven't?
They never will.
Is because they're already doing the thing in media that's super popular, rehashing old stuff that people love. Yes. But those are the big
Maybe once they hit
items.
all that stuff, then they can read it. But at that point, it'd be next edition, then they got to do it all over again.
So if they're doing the rehashing of the big ticket stuff and also rehashing smaller things, then people...
Well, because they did this in old editions, and I wonder if the team back then was different. They had certain teams for certain settings. I don't know. I'm not positive. But like, I would love an extra bestiary for Ravenloft or an extra bestiary for this area, for that area. Because I don't know if you know this, Curse of Strahd actually had a sequel. Before 5th edition, called House on Griffin Hill. I think came out in like the OG original edition, and it's never been touched since. It's kind of a little clunky. You could rework it to fit today. There's a third party. What's the guy? Party at Bernie's. You know what I'm talking about? Like the Dead Body. Something Bernie's. You
Is it a film, a movie?
It's a film, yeah. Let me look it up real fast. Bernie.
It's scratching something in my
Bernie's.
It's scratching something in my noggin, but
but either way, there's a Weekend at Bernie's.
There you go. You're close.
I was close. But there's a joke on that where you have to take the dead body of Strahd out from where you killed it inside and like get out without people knowing that Strahd's dead. It's tongue in cheek and cute. But I'd love more like sequels to adventures, the things like that, because we get a lot of Forgotten Realms stuff. But we don't really, besides Sword Coast, we just get Sword Coast, Forgotten Realms. I'd love to get more than that. Like Minsc and Boo was Forgotten Realms, but it touched on lots of other stuff, and I really enjoyed that. I think the issue with this, and maybe why they haven't done it since like the older editions, is because it probably led to a lot of product bloat. There's a lot of books out there. You don't know where to go to. You don't know what does House on Griffin Hill mean, and I didn't know I needed Curse of Strahd before I got this book, and now I realize it's a sequel, and I guess you gotta have it pretty big on the cover. Sequel to Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
But if you like that setting adventure, that means there's always more stuff to go out and pick up and explore. And I mean, there's third-party stuff, but that's just, it's always different than official content.
Yeah. So this is going to go into one of my next notes. It's really similar to this. I want all what you just said.
Yeah, thank you.
But I also want digital, this is scary, but digital exclusive content.
Okay.
Not for the sake of being exclusive, but because I think it could open them up to having those teams I mentioned earlier.
It can be shorter than like a full book.
Imagine, okay, we're using these terms not as the example, but as whatever, but like article writing people like BuzzFeed and whatnot. Sure. They have teams that it sucks, but they have to release X amount of articles X amount of times a year. But imagine they have different teams that are making smaller content, a monster here and there, always from a certain culture or from horror, or maybe they come around every once in a while.
What they're doing with the monsters.
They definitely are releasing some sort of seasonal drip content.
I don't know how long they'll be doing that for. We don't know.
Yeah, so I feel like they could do that, but you've got the content bloat. Like that's the big content bloat and predictable earnings.
But if it's because it's digital, you could have a drop down menu for like the settings area in D&D Beyond and say, Forgotten Realms, and another window opens up and it's like, I don't know, it's different areas you could explore and learn more about.
It's like, hey, we're going to do a month of Strahd. It's Halloween, or a month of the Shadowfell. Every month or every week or every day, we're releasing a new monster, a new small quest for you guys to have on your next D&D session. And at the end of it, you could purchase it all wholesale or have the seasons pass for a cheaper price.
They have the D&D Beyond writers that did like James Hayek did that for a while. Where like during Halloween, they'd talk about monsters. They wouldn't release their own, obviously, but they would talk about and cover monsters, about Shadowfell and stuff.
Maybe they do leave that on the D&D Beyond team and have it go that way. It could be interesting.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, that's something that I've really hoped for. I don't want to throw modern hated gaming terms at things like, hey, I also want loot boxes and Dungeons and Dragons,
I want some Wizards NFTs,
some sort of fun, not necessarily seasons pass, but that explains it well enough of that Halloween related content you can buy at $15 and get all of it together as it comes out over the month. Or if you missed it, you can buy the whole thing for $20 or bits and pieces, just like you could on D&D Beyond for the same amount of markup altogether that it would have cost $20. So it could be a cool idea. I would not doubt they've thought about it.
Because they do have that subscription model in place already.
Yeah, although they're definitely going to be adjusting that. We'll see.
How much is it a month?
I don't know, but I pay for it.
You get everything, right? It's everything. Or is it only like...
You don't get any content. You have to buy the content.
Oh, then what is it for?
Unlimited characters,
that's right,
dice.
That's right. I thought they had
it's mostly
one
cosmetics
for
and
content.
stuff.
Maybe they don't. Yeah.
Content sharing.
They have content sharing.
That's what it is.
That's true. I think they should have one for like you pay X amount a month.
They come out with bundles,
player's handbook and stuff.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, fuck it. If Games Pass can make you pay $10 a month for a rotating selection of games,
because I think that'd be a big barrier for you to get. I mean, obviously, it's a big barrier for you to get into D&D. Is the price to pick up the player's handbook, the Dungeon Master Guide. Just have a cheap subscription. Maybe just get the basic bare minimum stuff.
Yeah.
The PHP.
I think the issue there is the subscription based stuff often is with third-party studios, or at least people that aren't the main company. So Xbox may own Bethesda Studios and these sorts of things, but Bethesda is the one that takes a little bit of a loss, but also loses a lot of the risk because it's a guaranteed contract and income to put it on Games Pass. For Wizards, they don't have the option of saying, you know what, let's not put this on Games Pass or Wizards Pass and just make the full risk higher reward option of selling it. Or, hey, we don't think this is going to sell as well. Let's put it on our Games Pass because that's a guaranteed subscription that people will join in on because they want it.
They could add things in like retroactive, like a year after it comes out, then it comes out to the Game Pass.
Yeah.
If they do this, please don't call it Wizards Pass. Call it something more interesting than that.
Oh, fuck. Sorry. This isn't even about like 5e mechanics, but just the space in general. Sorry. It's a lot of stuff. I
like it.
So yeah, that's wholesale the conversation around that topic that I brought up next because it really went off of what you said already.
I do find it interesting. Sorry to get also off topic, but
there's a lot of pricing stuff I want them to change. And I think it's this way because they aren't Wizards. So they will play with it.
I think they definitely can now.
They're going to, for sure.
I'm confused why Spelljammer book on D&D Beyond is full price, $49.99. I guess because it's 3, but if you add it up, it's the same amount of pages.
Maybe
that's a strange.
That's what they're doing now. Choice. I don't know.
Well, the Radiant Citadel one is regular D&D Beyond price, $30. So I don't.
Maybe it's got like dice attached to it or some sort of digital product that we don't know about yet. Well, no, you shouldn't be able to pay for it yet if it did.
No,
because they would need to tell you about everything that you can pay
stuff.
for already.
Maybe this is the new D&D pricing.
I know I just went, but can I go to a mechanics thing?
Yeah, go for it.
I want to get rid of AC.
Oh, okay. See, I have one that's a mechanic as well. It's similar. So I'll let you talk about this.
I don't know. I don't have as much fleshed out alternative. There are systems that Kenneth is talking, so maybe he can jump into that. But I think AC doesn't portray to me as well what it's like during combat. You can flavor it when you're talking, and the creativity comes from the restriction itself. But you've got a big guy with 20 AC, you know? The sword comes and clangs against his armor and it doesn't hurt him. You've got a 20 AC rogue. They nimbly dodge out of the way. You know, it's not always that it's making contact. But I think it makes D&D and health less fun for me. It's you're getting hit
or you don't.
For a shit load or you don't.
Yeah.
I would rather all damage and health be adjusted and see health more as a resource rather than, fuck, my health is getting hit, I have to stop. It's going to turn into like how Magic is, or most games. I still have a lot of health, which this thought process does happen, but you can predict more reliably whether something is going to kill you or not.
It's not even like certain levels, because I feel like there's a area between like level maybe 5 and 10 where it's not as, where health is more, it's not like
it's where we're at swingy. Now.
Yeah, now it's, well, even like levels 1 through 3 and 4, you get hit like one thing and you might die. Mm-hmm. And above level 10, you get like half your health destroyed.
Yeah.
There's that sweet spot between, which is probably why most of the adventurers hit that sweet spot. Then there's none above. I agree with you.
Pathfinder does it interestingly. There still is AC. The numbers are much larger, much bigger, but there is damage reduction. Mm-hmm. I would love armor to have damage reduction and resistances more so in that way. I understand AC simplifies it a lot more because there's not a computer that is crunching the numbers for you. So this would not be friendly for how 5e wants to go. And I do not think they would, because they would literally have to change every damage number to be less lethal.
Yeah, it'd probably have to be a new edition kind of thing.
So, I mean, what is this? It is a new edition, but it's backwards compatible, so it is not going to have it. But it's what I do want. I think it would make short rests and everything a bit more fun, and it adds another thing for me to think about. And another way to control my character and flavor them without just having to have a big number that means I do or do not get hit.
Yeah, so I put here, it's funny you mentioned damage reductions, because I wrote here, one of the things I'd like them to change is resistances to magic weapons. I don't know if you've perused monsters much, but a lot of the higher level monsters, maybe I'm just now seeing this because we're doing higher combat, a lot of the monsters in higher CRs have the resistance to non-magic weapons. And it's at a certain level, everyone's got a magic item, a magic weapon. It's not going to matter. You know, the resistance, I guess, is basically to make sure that you know as a DM, don't put this against your party until they're high level. But I mean, the CR should do it.
Yeah.
So I'd like a new way to implement this, like damage reductions. That if they don't have
you can do no damage to something in Pathfinder because it resists the type of damage you do.
Yeah, exactly. I even read here again something Pathfinder does very well. I like the way the resistances and things work there. And to go off of that, one of the other things I wrote is to have more tactical based combat.
Yeah.
my idea here was to make melee characters a little more interesting. Like 4E, I thought was very interesting.
Make monks good 5.5e.
Because like weapons in D&D 5e are not very exciting.
No.
They're just like 1d6, 1d4, 1d8. Some are a little, you have to have two hands. Some you gotta be a little stronger. Some allow you to reach. But besides that, it's not very interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of those flavorful stuff got moved into feats, which is cool.
And they're starting to focus more on feats as well.
Yes, but then makes the weapons boring. So what I would like, maybe just for martial weapons, because you got to get proficiency to get that anyway. But to be fair, you can get proficiency with martial weapons at the drop of a hat.
Give me polearm diversity,
easy.
damn it.
There you go. But I think also with this, expand upon the attack action. Because as a martial character, you probably just using the attack. And if attack is your action, that's kind of boring. You're attacking, but that's all you're doing. Versus like a spell cast, you can do this as a bonus action, this and that. Of course, you get maneuvers, and maneuvers I find interesting to a certain degree. But I think adding that idea of maneuvers with the martial weapons could make it more interesting. I don't think they'll do any of this because, as we said, they're making it more streamlined. But I think it'd be cool to help make it more crunchier.
Let's try and give it a bit more hope. I think with Pathfinder, for example, polearms, it's a stick with a weapon on or a blade at the end of it. They have different shapes. Some are good at hooking. Some are good at, if you just looked at it, you could definitely hook this around somebody, trip them. This one's got a wicked serrated blade. It will make them bleed. This one looks like if you really hit a vital point, it would be deadly.
Oh my God, yeah, bleed
and
D&D would be cool.
It is in Pathfinder, and it's usually you try to resist it on that turn. If not, you take the damage, and then it keeps going. You can do much stuff.
Like D&D is the fire, getting caught on fire.
And I understand why they don't do it, because it's another thing to take in your brain, keep track of. People might forget, and it's not as friendly to beginners. You could just not have bleeding weapons in your game. True. But in Pathfinder, weapons have deadly, which means it will, when you crit, not only crits for the double dice, but it also adds an additional dice onto it. That one doesn't get doubled. It's literally just a single one plopped onto it. So it's kind of like a 1.5 times or 2.5, whatever the math turns out to be. Tripping and a bunch of other things like that these weapons can do and give people options, which if you think about spells, they often do damage and have an effect. Now your weapons have a damage and an effect, and they go directly with your strength stat. Obviously, you can't trip somebody if your strength isn't higher, so it makes you feel cooler about having build your character properly, It's a bit more interaction than just, I whack this guy. It's, I whack this guy, and now he's prone, and everybody who attacks him now does more damage or has advantage, depending on the system that you're in. And I don't think that is not backwards compatible friendly, because it's still the same weapons.
But do you think they would make it more tactical, or like go with that extra idea?
I'd say it could.
They could, because to be fair, the newer player options are a little more tactical already. And if that's the direction that they're heading, then they could.
I think it is. It's a simple player's handbook. It's a simple section that says weapons and the glossary of weapon terms and how they work. There you go.
That'd be cool.
You can use them if you want. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. Add these onto the weapons in your other 5e game. If you have one, if you have a halberd, like a magic halberd that does this, it now fucking does this, is even cooler now. There you go.
Just have like properties section, like create your own weapon, and they have properties that you could add into a weapon.
I think it could work. I think it could.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay. I've got one, but I think I just did that. Or you did? I don't know.
No, I did that.
Okay. For me, I guess we'll jump into feats. I don't know.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know. You take what every class in Pathfinders, and don't worry, this isn't just turn 5.
But to say, I mean, that's just what we want.
But it's the other system that I have a lot of experience with now. I play at least every week 1 or 2 games. So classes in Pathfinder are all basically warlocks who have invocations and options they can pick and building blocks for their class. I would love, obviously, more classes to come out. That's really exciting, or more subclasses to come out. Nice. It's really fun to get a new thing with entirely new abilities, but I also really enjoy the idea of here's a new feat that your warlock could pick at a different level, rather than, which kind of is what invocations are, so bad thing. Here's a new feat or maneuver.
Prerequisite feats where you have to have this.
Hell yeah.
To get that. Yeah.
There's a reason and excitement to build, and it's more option and choice. It is less friendly because you could get to that point and be excited about it, and your DM didn't teach you about it, and you're screwed. So it goes against that design philosophy. But I would really love more modularity to everything. There are sometimes that for Hexblade, so it rings even more true because it's a warlock and there already is modularity. I don't want to kill a thing and summon a specter for my, what is it, 8th level, 14th level? I don't remember.
Yeah, something like that.
It's 8th. It's one of the higher level things, and it just, specters suck. What do they do?
That level,
thematically works well, but I would love to swap that out. It would make the class almost perfect to me outside of the not being able to change your target until 14th level as your big daddy thing. It makes sense, but it would have a lot less backlash and a lot less QC for them to do retroactively when things are released. There would be more ability. So yes, you would have to do a lot more QC. I get that. But when people have option, they're going to be less picky about what you've decided to say. This is the class. And I think it could be fun. It's more work, yes. I get that. But more modularity for feats is what it's going to be. Not feats, but class features.
Yeah.
Would be fun.
I think make it more
Having
interesting.
one or two instead of mulling over is this what we're going with? Let's throw the other ones that they have the option. Both are great and they stand great on their own, but together they make a really, really great
That is something
option.
they could do. They just add more feats for each class that does specific things that can, like archetypes, take you in a different direction. And
they do have, it often goes with transform abilities. Whenever you transform, you get one of these 3 options you get to pick.
Yeah.
And in a sense, kind of is like that, but it's still the same feat. I would love to have 2 options because Pathfinder, it can get overwhelming. It's really hard to build. But you get to 4th level and you get to pick from 4th level class feats and below, and you can take another one that you're already looking at. So it's a lot more, but it's fun. There you go.
So I have here another mechanical thing is I would like there to be a crafting system. I think this is something that only a subset of people would enjoy because crafting can get pretty tiresome.
Yeah.
But I've always found crafting options interesting and it can allow players to be self-sufficient, make their own health potions. Like there's a player in my game that does a third-party option.
Reagents and whatnot for alchemy.
Yeah. There's really cool third-party options for crafting, but I would love an official one that would make it easier for people to pick up and get into.
Now, do you want a simpler one that can fit within a player's handbook?
Yes.
Or do you want a supplement, an entire book on its own, but not everybody knows to use it and knows that it exists? It's hard to get used to.
I think a simpler one, yeah. I think it'd be cool to have it, but I couldn't see it filling up a whole book on this.
Not like a whole book, but like a beefier one that they're like, we just can't fit this in a player's handbook. It's too much.
Like kind of like the like a Xanathar's, just like a section in there or something. Could be cool. And they have that kind of with like downtime activities.
It could make it, if they wanted to have it simpler, think about the open world formula of crafting and picking up stuff. Yeah. This means that there will be things that the DM has to put in the world, and you can easily off-cuff put it there, but it doesn't have to be each ingredient does a different effect if this is in a player's handbook per se. It could be this grouping of plants, if they have this color or just in the grouping that we've said here, they add a positive effect to health. And this group of here has a negative effect to health or a positive one to here or adds this.
Zelda crafting.
Just like really categorized, like it is an illusion of, I would say, depth, but your party's still going to pick up a bunch of different things and be able to say, hey, we're going to throw in this, and this. DM goes and sees which ones are in which there. And it says, if you have positive plant plus a negative plant plus a kind of positive plant, this comes out. And it doesn't have to be too overly complex because maybe there's only 4 or 5 categories. But that's really simple. So it might leave a lot to desired. And then there could be a supplement that expands on it. Here's additional crafting rules.
I like it. The one that we do use for my game, very complex. And I oftentimes forget what you need to do what.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that more simpler kind of experiment. Like the players are just like, okay, we have these things, we'll just toss them in an alchemy jar and see what happens.
Yeah, you'll always have to consider the effect. Because there's classes in Pathfinder, like the bomber one that throws potions and shit, that get created and they have systems all to their own. And there's that level of like specificity that gets a little overwhelming, but it's still fun. I think it could be really cool. And finding more stuff in real world is awesome. I think I need to experience a game where XP exists.
Ooh.
Less story-driven ones, it would matter, but I think it would, by default, give players a really good desire to say, I want to adventure and go like I need to
True.
level up, so I have to go kill things, and that makes desire and objective.
There's an interesting Matt Colville video talking about XP versus milestone. I actually might be just like an offshoot, like something, a tangent that he had in one of his videos. But he talked about it, about how it made some of his players a little more metagamey because they were like, okay, we know that down this tunnel, there's probably going to be a couple more goblins. I'm kind of close to leveling up. I don't really want to kill them, but
and
we gotta go
letting things run away or killing them.
Yes, yeah, making sure if you as DM are doing XP, then you got to
still reward them
for
XP.
Lots of other options.
Yeah. Kenneth mentioned something the other day: is gold is XP, and in a sense, it already is tied to progression in general because you're getting items for it. So it's already kind of does that in milestone. So if you play a milestone game, going that route, but a different XP system that is less metagamey like that would be exciting to me as well.
And I think the other problem with XP is it's as a DM, the reason why I've never done XP is it's just so much extra for me to think about. Like, okay, what they do today, they killed these guys. That's easy. I can just find the XP. Okay, we did this
D&D
encounter.
Beyond does make it easy because it'll tell you
this thing. But like social encounters, stuff like that, it can just, it's a lot to keep track of.
And oh shit, I accidentally gave them a lot for a social encounter because I had to throw a random number out.
Yeah.
Fuck. But sometimes people enjoy those sorts of things. Right.
So I got two left. Here. One, I want them really to do. The other, I could see. This is the other one they're definitely doing. So I'll do that one last. What I really like is an adventure that goes to level 20. Does it have to start at level 1? Doesn't start at level 1. I just want one that goes to 20 so we can see how WotC thinks 20 needs to look. Because we don't have, we've talked about it before, but there's like maybe one supplement, one book that goes to level 20, the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I don't even think it goes to 20.
And specifically how WotC does it, because I know there's some probably stellar ones.
I want to see how they view
DM
level
skill.
20.
Yeah.
Because I think
it scares the shit out of me.
I think it scares them too. That's the reason they've ever done it.
Yeah.
It's got it. Like, we've made it so powerful up here. We don't even know how to run it ourselves. So we're just going to stick to level 17, 18, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I could think it'd be cool too. I mean, this goes again with the more books, but having like the adventure paths from Pathfinder. I mean, they do this a little bit with the Adventurers League where they have different things that run into each other. But like adventure paths where this book takes you from levels 1 through 4, and then it's technically an enclosed adventure, but then you could buy the next one. And this goes, I guess, to my sequels that I talked about before. But you buy the next one, it takes you from levels 4 to 8, and then eventually all the way to level 20. But I just love the way the adventure paths work in Pathfinder.
Yeah.
So
no, that's awesome. Level 20 really scares me. Ryan, your game is no longer my highest level game.
Oh man.
We just leveled up to 13 in
the
Zelda
13.
game. And I'm nervous. But that character, I'm telling you guys, if you haven't played Hexblade with Echo Knight, you do not know what a blender looks like.
Yeah, I've heard stories and I'm scared.
I mentioned your combat is already well equipped for that because just going to town on a character doesn't work. Right. Oftentimes, I told him about your fire character that when I meleeed, I took damage.
Oh, yeah.
I hit a character for 56 damage and it reflected all the damage back on me because it had this reaction. And it almost one-shot me. I could have one-shot myself. So it sucks being that hard counter because it does feel bad, but I literally killed 3 of his bosses in a row over 3 sessions. So
understandable.
It makes
a little
sense.
Spiteful.
So I gotta be responsible there. I mean, I kind of blew through 2 of the mine that were on the end there, so now it's all just conjecture at this point. So go ahead with your last one if you want.
Okay, here we go. This is what I would hope they're doing, and I think they're probably gonna do.
Oh, okay, that's good.
They need to understand what D&D wants to be. I feel like it's in an identity crisis right now and that's probably because they're trying to push to the next edition, but it's still a little bit away. So it's like 2 years away.
Yeah.
Because 5e progressed from its original vision, has changed ever so much whenever a new, like Xanathars, Tasha's, every time Unearthed Arcanas, and there's all sorts of new ones that come out and just slightly shift what I think their original vision was. And now we have those books. All the other books are heading in this direction and they're kind of like splintering off, and D&D needs to know what it wants to be right now. And I would hope that this would make it into having a clear, obvious vision for what D&D is, what WotC wants to bring to the tabletop RPG sphere. And I think this will greatly improve the game because everyone's on the same page. whichever direction they decide upon, because we've been talking about Pathfinder a lot today, and obviously they don't want to just become another Pathfinder.
Yeah.
I don't think because Pathfinder is very crunchy and has the intense system and tactical combat. And as much as I love that, I don't think WotC would want to do that. So I don't know if I want them to go in two opposite directions where Pathfinder becomes just that. WotC is very simple. Either way, WotC needs to figure out what they want to bring to the table, because right now I don't think they know what they want.
It's tough. Okay, I'll give a preface that this is for all corporate companies, not WotC. And again, I did not even start my first day. Right. They were still very hush-hush about a lot of stuff. None of this is what they told me about. If any of it is similar, it is not intended to be so. So corporate companies always have a strong idea what they want things to be.
Right.
So when you say something like we need them to figure out what Dungeons and Dragons is, it is so crazy to me that these companies can be so sure about what their design is. They have a mission statement, right?
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I can guarantee you they have an inner one for Dungeons and Dragons. I guarantee you they do. And the fact that it doesn't show to people like us that they do, it's so weird. I want the connection between a corporate company and their internal design and the consumer and product owner to be lessened a bit, because there's so much demonizing of hiring and groups and the work they do in the crunch. And there are people that genuinely do care at every company, 100%. But it's tough to make it show like that because of A, the community, and B, anybody involved in any company. So they may very well be changing what their mission statement for D&D is right now.
I would think so.
May very well be. So you take what I just said with a grain of salt.
Except like Paizo, they know what they're doing.
They found their formula.
They know what they're doing. They're pumping out books left and right, and they're all, from what I can understand, people are loving them. They fit what people like, what they're doing. And WotC's, like, you have some books that are a little more kid friendly, some that are a little more darker, some that are a little in between, some that are crunchy, some that are very simple. I don't know. The
complexity of Pathfinder allows them to have a lot of flexibility because there is no defined rule of what something is when it's that complex. But Wizards, it's hard to design because they do have a limit. What is too much? How much is going to overwhelm somebody? What options will tip over the balancing scale and overwhelm the average player or their average consumer that they've identified that they're looking for? If you look at games like Risk of Rain 2, there was a recent dev conversation. I think it might have been with Wooly Gaming, really big dude in the Risk of Rain 2 community, plays it almost every day. Don't know how he does it. It's his livelihood, so it's probably how. And they had mentioned a question and responded to Wooly. He said, do you guys think the game is balanced, or is it a game that needs to be balanced? A comment from this person on my stream said, they don't have any idea what they're doing with balance. This is so not working. It is not a balanced game. And their response is, how do you know it's not balanced? And it was just like, woo, okay. Makes sense. Good response, I suppose, if they're sticking to their guns. But arguably, you could look at a certain character and say that this is way weaker. You look at Monk in D&D and you say, like, this just isn't capable of the same things that a sorcerer with Fireball and a bunch of spell slots can do. The Risk of Rain devs say it's not a game where balance matters. It doesn't matter. They just make something that is fun to play because it's not a competitive game. It's not a game where they need to be crunching numbers as much, and they just want to make something that's fun to play. So it does suck when you pick Artificer in Risk of Rain or Monk in Wizards of the Coast, and it just feels like you're not doing shit, you know? And I think
like be part of the challenge.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
And I think D&D right now is very much designed fun first.
Yes. 100%.
Fireball is literally the best and most efficient spell that exists, and they have stated they intended it to be that way.
Yeah.
There are spells that will be released on purpose that are weaker or stronger. In video games, oftentimes, or in Magic, there are cards that suck on purpose because it's a gacha game and you have to have cards to fill the pool, so there's levels of difficulty. Yeah. In D&D, there's no competitive nature, so making something that isn't as good as something else you feel like shouldn't happen. Everything should be fun to use, but it's not how it is. There's still varying levels of play.
The guy at the table who's got all the fun stuff to use, and you're just kind of sitting there with your ranger class, looking down at the table like,
So it's interesting when everything is designed for everybody to have fun. Mm-hmm. and some things aren't fun to use. So I don't. That is my closing statement. Kind of what I think.
Yeah.
I don't.
No, that's what I'm hoping for 5.5e to bring to the table.
Yeah. All right. So this
make it fun for everybody.
For everybody, which they
all
are
the time.
To do. I think that is their big goal here.
Maybe that's their mission statement. Just make it fun.
They're handling a lot of stuff. They're handling cultural, like appropriateness, making sure that nothing is offending people. They're finding the right people to talk about the right things.
And every time I think I'm on the way out from D&D, they wheel me back in.
I can't let go. Is it the nostalgia? What are you wowing about?
Sorry, I was just reminded of the books that I like Journey, like Radiant Citadel. I'm excited for Spelljammer. I'm looking for. I mean, there's stuff on the horizon that I'm excited for. But sorry, I saw that they do have a bundle here, the source book bundle, $445. I mean, includes every book, but jeez.
Wow. Yeah, thinking about that shit's kind of crazy. I'm going to keep a close eye on D&D Beyond in the digital space, and we'll talk about that in the coming days. That's pretty much it for this episode, I would say. Let me know if you think I seemed different at all. I felt pretty much the same for the most part. Maybe my tangents were clear and I jumped around better. But let me know if my meds seem like they were working.
The Legendary bundle has everything, and that's $855.
That's a lot of money. Please don't do that.
Don't worry, it's on sale though, from $875.
Maybe do that. I don't know. If you've got the cash and you like D&D, go ahead.
Yeah, that's why. Again, goes back to our subscription model. I think it would at least help people out, or maybe just give you like a little trial. But then people just make new accounts. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's the idea that they can just download it all and then cancel their subscription. Yeah, so it's a tough thing to deal with.
I do want to say, I've further been sorry about digital space, but D&D Beyond, if you do have an account, hop on there now, unless you already own these books. But Acquisitions Incorporated and Fandelver, The Lost Minds Founder, are free for everyone right now.
Cannot tell you to say it anymore. Wait, what? To own?
Yeah. On D&D Beyond.
Do you have to click it to own it if the period goes where you don't get it?
I do not know. I've not done my legwork, but it's on D&D Beyond. Acquisitions Incorporated and Lost Minds of Fandelver are free.
Acquisitions Incorporated, specifically when I'm looking for monsters, there'd be so many times that it was a part of that book and I didn't own it. Get that shit
now. You can
now. Holy hell!
They put it on because they said they want to make fun of the acquisition.
Oh, I see. The monsters, even if it's a jokey book, they're
let me look.
They're really good.
Let me look at it live here while I'm logged in.
Yeah, definitely do that. And I'll rattle off about our social media and whatnot. We'll do that bit here. So
can't spell
social media. I don't know. We have an Instagram at Dungeon Crawl Pod for Twitter, and the Instagram. Sometimes we'll post whenever we go live for the live show, or we're all on the same place. Take a cute little selfie. It goes up there. Twitter, act a little more often, kind of interacting with the community and whatnot. At Dungeon Crawl Pod, we do have. I don't know if I usually do email here, but thedungeoncrawlpod at gmail.com. Again, that's thedungeoncrawlpod at gmail.com. If you have something else you want to do, sponsorships, we haven't ducked into those yet. But that's what that is if you want to do that. We have a link tree. Within there is a Discord of people that I personally enjoy. Hope you would too. And we run games like 5e Zelda or have a Cyberpunk Red.
We're just wrapping up. If you guys want to watch the end.
It is open for you to jump in there. Your mic will be muted because you're not a part of the cool group. But if you want to be a part of the cool group, there might be somebody who runs like Cyberpunk Red stuff or needs more people for a one shot. Just tried to get one together and they barely made it work, I think, with the amount of people that were interested. I wanted to, was busy. We need more people to jump in there. Cool people that we can meet, learn about, and then jump into games once we're like, hey, we like you. So the link tree for the Discord in the description. Hang out with us. See us on the weekends. The games we play, the one we've been doing for 6 years, that's about to end probably pretty soon.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting. You won't know what the hell is going on. But what you will know what's going on if you see the Patreon that's in the link tree. That's pretty cool. If you feel like supporting us,
you guys.
Feel free to do that. There's people that have done this in the past, rolling across the screen. Thank you very much. That's everything.
I found it. So I don't know how you find it on the website, I'm going to be honest with you. But they have it on Twitter. I don't see it on their thing here. So just go to their Twitter account, D&D Beyond.
I'm gonna do it now.
Yeah, do it right now, everybody. D&D Beyond.
All right, guys, let's get on our tablets, our phones, our computers. Go to D&D Beyond.
And it's currently, as of recording this, it will not be later, but it's currently the most recent tweet. But it says, we are celebrating with Wizards, officially part of the Wizards of the Coast family. We're offering 2 books. 2. You click that link. If I remember, I'll put the link in the description. Probably won't, though. And it takes you to a page that has both. Claim your copy of Lost Mind of Fandelver and Acquisitions Incorporated.
So where do I go for this? On the homepage for everybody that's following along.
Here, I can. I don't know where on the homepage. Actually, Don't know where.
I wonder if I could just search.
This is in post, but
I'll just go to Twitter.
I'll send it to you. It is on Twitter, but I can send it to you. I got the link. I'll try to remember to put this in the description for you, all you people.
Hey, all you people.
But there's two things. All you gotta do is sign in, and there's a big button that says "Claim your copy." You click "Claim your copy," and boom, you're in. It will be here until May 25th.
If you played the Adventure Zone, Lost Mines of Phandelver is where they started that. So
cute.
It could be fun for you to own that and go through it yourself.
Yeah, be here till. So when you see this podcast, you'll have one more day to do it. So get out there quick if you've not done.
Oh, geez. I'm not kidding. The monsters in that book are really phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah, Action Incorporated is really cool. And it's got an adventure in there from levels 1 to 6. So pick it up, guys.
Sign up today.
The top comment, most recent comment says, "Let's go." Hell yeah.
There's no need to claim this adventure Lost Mine of Phandelver. It's automatically unlocked for existing users and new users going forward.
Well, there you go.
So it's free,
but then Acquisition Incorporated, you got to claim, I guess.
Acquisition Incorporated.
Yeah, there you go.
Claim your copy. Boop. Okay, so Acquisition Incorporated you just get. Boom, makes sense that the beginner book is there. Sorry for
this poor fella. This guy says, "Og, I just bought Phandelver last night."
If you're listening, you can probably email them.
Yeah, they said, "Any chance of a refund?" Have also posted in the comments of the Facebook post. I would not.
There's no reason I'd say that.
I would send them an email, not a comment.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor fella.
All right. It was super easy. I clicked the button and I have successfully claimed it. And now I have the monsters that I wanted to use.
Hell yeah. Last thing, I want to thank all you people for going over to Apple Podcasts, rating us 5 stars, and that really helps us out a lot. I was actually looking at it the other day. I don't think I can pull up. Actually, I should be able to because this is an Apple product. Okay, I don't know how to do it. But I was checking it out the other day. There were some nice reviews. So please, really help. Also on Spotify. I've never talked about this before, but Spotify recently added. You can't write reviews, but you can rate it.
What's our rating? Do we have one?
4.5, 11 ratings. Look at that.
What the fuck?
That's so nice. I'm gonna rate mine. I'm gonna rate it right now. 5 stars. Oh,
really?
I've already rated it.
What?
You can't leave reviews, but if you go to Spotify and rate us, whatever. I mean, I prefer a 5-star rating, but if you don't think so.
If you pretend each star is on our fingertip, you can give us a really cool high five.
And I don't know I would imagine this factors some way into the Spotify algorithm. So I would greatly appreciate if you also go to Spotify and rate us 5 stars there.
Have I already rated it? Is that how do we do it? Rate show.
You already have it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you hit the 4 one. So you've already rated it too, apparently.
11 of you guys. Thank you.
That's really nice. Well, 2 of us is us, I guess.
So 9 of you guys.
That's great. We appreciate it.
I didn't know the feature was there. I guess I did it on mine, so maybe it is easily discoverable. Awesome. Okay. He's been Ryan.
He's been Braxton.
Thanks for calling with us. We'll see you guys for sure next week because we're back on a roll. We'll get this going. Hopefully I can do some more research. I want to do a little more heavy stuff like I mentioned in the episode that we uploaded yesterday, or the little update.
Yeah, we'll think it's something chunky.
But we'll get that going. We got a full week. We recorded finally on Friday. We're back on schedule.
Yes.
Remember, we're going to be doing our live play test. Keep an eye on the Dungeon Chronicles. We'll announce it if it ever starts up.
In theory, they could. By the time you see this, it'll be the day that you could watch it because it's on Tuesday.
Are we recording it?
Release on Monday.
Are we recording it?
I don't know.
Or going live?
We could just do it on Discord maybe, so people could hop in and check it out. So if you're interested in seeing what's going to happen in the live play, it won't be like super in depth. We're just going to be testing stuff out. The players going to be testing out their characters. Not really anything that's going to connect to the main story. Sure. But if you're interested, then we'll probably just do a little live stream on our Discord.
Cool beans. All right, guys.
Which will happen sometime in the evening of Central Standard Time.
I do want to make that more of a thing. It'd be a lot of fun on stream. Just say, hey, we hang out on Discord after the stream. Come hang out with us, stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right. Deuce.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Nice.
Shut those iPads.